You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 164. Okay, so you did the work. You got the degree, the license, the certification, the training, whatever you needed to do the work you love. You've got the credentials. You are ready to open your doors, ready to welcome all those lovely clients who cannot wait to work with you. But how do you find them? And more importantly, how do they find you? Well, today I thought we could dive into the online platforms that are available to you. Y'all, I've tried them all. Blogging, video, you name it. And I've learned a few things along the way. I'll also tell you a little bit about what it takes to make a podcast like this one work, too. And be sure and stick around to the end because I'm going to tell you about the course that I took that made all the difference for me when I dove into this particular crazy new adventure for the first time. Lots of good stuff for you today. So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ideal Practice Podcast. This is Wendy Pitts Reeves, your host. And as always, I'm so happy to be hanging out with you today. How are you guys doing? You doing all right? I hope you are. I hope your teams are winning. I hope your fall is unfolding in a beautiful way. At the time I am recording this, we just got back from a fairly quick trip up to the Finger Lakes region of New York State. It was really pretty up there. Their fall colors were ahead of ours, so that was kind of nice to see. And it felt good to get out of town for a little ways, for a little bit. And I hope you're doing some things that feel good to you as well. I got a lot to talk with you about today, and I have to tell you, I wanted to share this with you before I kind of got into things. Every now and then I'll pop in to see if I have any new reviews have popped up on the podcast. It is like pulling teeth, y'all, to get you all to write notes for me. I'm going to tell you that. A lot of you reach out to me personally. I get emails and DMs all the time from people telling me how much they enjoy the show. And I love that. It means a lot to me. But it also just delights me when I pop in and look at the reviews online and discover a new one that I hadn't noticed. So there's a review that popped in from someone who named themselves Never Too Old to Learn, which I got a kick out of because, yeah, I feel you. And this person wrote, she labeled the podcast as practical and fun, which I love because that's exactly kind of how I want it to be for you guys. And she said, I recently discovered this podcast, and after a few minutes of listening, I decided to start from the beginning so I wouldn't miss a thing. Wendy is an encyclopedia of knowledge, experience, and wisdom with a dash of Southern charm. I don't know what she's talking about there. And wit thrown in. I even did a coaching call with her, and she did not disappoint. Do yourself a favor and give it a listen. Now, I don't know who wrote that because they did not sign their name, but I can think of various people that I've spoken to and done a little work with, and I have a thought about who it might be, but I'm not going to say that here. I just want to say that anytime, like this has happened a couple of times, where folks have told me that they have elected to go back to the very beginning of Ideal Practice and listen to all the episodes, which is kind of crazy and humbling for me. But it touches my heart. I'm not going to lie. One of my goals here is to inspire you and encourage you and challenge you a little bit all along the way. But I also want to give you like real practical information you can do something with. So that tells me I'm succeeding in that. And I love that. And hopefully today will be no different. So let's talk about what I want to share with you today. I want to tell you about something that happened. It's been several years ago now. Before the pandemic, probably a year or two before the pandemic hit. That's how we tell time, isn't it? Before the pandemic, during, and after. That's how we tell time nowadays. This was a year or two before that. I had been posting and publishing a weekly blog for a long time, and I was quite devoted to it. I put a lot of work into it. I cared a lot about it. I was committed, and man, when I'm committed, I'm committed. And there was a moment one summer when I was helping a friend move, and as I was helping her pack boxes and haul them out to the truck and do all those kinds of things, I made a sudden move that I should not have made, and I'm just going to tell you, I hurt myself. It would be upsetting if I went into too many details, but I hurt my hand pretty badly. I cut my hand really, really badly by accident. It was, I'm not going to lie, it was really tough. She had to take me to the ER, and in the end, it all turned out all right, but it was rough for a while there, and I ended up with this massive bandage on my hand. I'm left-handed. It was my right hand that I hurt, so you could say that was a good thing. But the thing that stood out to me when I think about this now, especially in the context of what I want to talk to you about today, was the main thing I thought about was not had I done some kind of permanent damage to my hand, which was a possibility, and when was it going to stop hurting, which was also something I cared about. But could I get my blog out, which published at 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings? It always went live at 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings. I had a mailing list. I published it in various ways. And being who I am, which is a procrastinator and a perfectionist, 9 with a 1 wing, it's not unusual, y'all, for me to be sliding into home base at the last minute. And blogging was no exception to that. In fact, because the tech aspect of blogging was fairly low, oftentimes I did it myself, did the publishing myself, did the editing myself, did all the things myself. I did have Queenie back then, and she was helping me with it, but I could handle it myself. So on a Saturday morning while I was at the hospital getting myself put back together, all I could really think about was, can I still get my blog finished and published and out at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, especially if I was going to have trouble typing with this injury. Yeah, that was nuts. That was nuts. That's not how you want to be approaching your marketing or your social media presence. I'm just going to tell you that. And I did get it out the next day because I was still able to type. Yay. So by golly, that blog went out the next day. I'm not going to recommend this for anybody. But there's a point here that I will explain as we go on. So here is the problem when it comes to your practice and how you want to market yourself and what platform you want to use to do that. This is the truth. You cannot, guys, once you start a practice, whether you are brand new or you've been at it for a while, unless you are part of a large group practice that already has a well-recognized brand and that is already functioning and sort of has a presence in the community, if you're in that situation, then you've got referrals coming already. But if you are solo and you are one person in a very, very noisy and crowded space, or if you're just getting started, or you're making some kind of a change in your practice and you want to begin shifting or pivoting into a new direction, you can't just sit in your office and wait for people to find you. Your relationship with your favorite clients, your ideal clients, the clients you love and who want to be there with you, well, that relationship begins long before they meet you, okay? But what do? How do you connect with them? How do you connect with them? Well, the good news is, in today's digital economy, you have way more options than ever for a low barrier entry into the online marketing world. Now, if you have been following me for a while, then you know that one of my pet peeves, I think, is that we tend to rely almost too much on the online marketing world. Like sometimes, guys, you got to get out behind your computer and out of your office and meet real people in real life. But I've talked about that in other episodes. So today, I do want to dive in a little bit into this online world. So the good news is, there's a way you can do this, and it's a fairly low barrier entry, okay? The bad news is, everybody else has that same option as well. So you have to do it well, and you have to do it with a certain strategy in order to stand out. Now, you have heard all kinds of influencers out there telling you that you have to be online in a certain way, on a certain platform, at a certain frequency to attract a certain audience with a certain flavor, whatever, that there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. And, they may have a point about some things. Like, for instance, for all of my preaching about getting out there, I do actually feel like you do need to have an online presence in today's world. That's how people find you, guys. That's how they research you before they get up the nerve to call you. And it takes a lot for them to get up the nerve to call you. Okay? But what nobody talks about is that what works for you may be very different from what works for somebody else. And you may actually surprise yourself sometime. If you give yourself permission to explore and experiment, you may find that you kind of like a certain way of showing up that's completely different than what you expected. That has certainly been my experience. I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. If your practice is running on all cylinders, yay for you. But if you're feeling a little off balance in some ways, or there are some things that are working great, some things that aren't so great, and you're just not sure what to do, let me suggest, I got a little something I want to offer you here before we get too deep into this topic. Have you downloaded and tried the IP360 scorecard that I have for you? The IP360 scorecard is a self-assessment tool that I've created. It's a fairly simple tool. You can complete it in 10 to 15 minutes. But in this little scorecard, if you are honest with yourself as you work your way through it, it will give you a pretty clear overall big picture view of what's working in your practice and where you've got some work to do. This is free. It's something that I offer and actually encourage everyone to start with. You can get your copy of the scorecard by going to my website, wendypittsreeves.com/360, the numbers 360. I call it that because it is a comprehensive full view, and it is based on my proprietary framework. The way I think about approaching your practice is that there are 7 pillars of an ideal practice, of a healthy private practice. And this scorecard will walk you through each one of those and help you see where you are strong and where you could use a little work. So as you are thinking about how and whether to attack your marketing, even before you do that, y'all, go download the scorecard and fill it out and see what the numbers tell you. When you get that, I will send you an email or a couple of emails actually, or a few days after that, that will give you more information about how to look at your numbers and how to think about the different phases of your practice development. I think you'll like that. If you're one of the many, many, many folks who have already done this, I encourage you to pull it out and look at it again. This is the kind of tool that it's worth doing, y'all, every 6 months or so, just to sort of take stock of like, where are you now? So I wanted to mention that before I get into this, because marketing is indeed one of the things you got to work on, but it is only one of at least 7 areas that I think are important. So I wanted to mention that first. All right, now let's talk about marketing, and let's talk about this online marketing idea. First of all, why should you care? I know that we are all inundated with this online stuff all the time, and we are all exhausted with it. But y'all, when it's done well, it really can help. Do you not find that there are certain people that you follow, listen to, watch, read, that you will click on their stuff even when you ignore all the rest? That there are certain people that just kind of rise to the top and you're like, you know what? I always want to read what that person writes. I always want to listen to that person's podcast. Like, I don't want to miss that one. Whoever that is for you, notice that. What is it about them that gets your attention? Because that tells you something, okay? That's your absolute first thing to do, is pay attention to what draws your attention and why. And then let's talk about why this matters for you as a business owner. You can connect with your ideal clients, your favorite people, and start building a relationship with them way before they meet you. In fact, I would say, well, you don't have to do this. Like a trusted referral source will also send people to you that will call you or reach out to you purely because they trust the person who sent you. That's not nothing either. If you are giving talks or you're out networking or you're in the community in some way because you're like volunteering and people get to know you, they will come there as well. But the digital world, y'all, it really is, there is a way here, lots of ways. The kick is finding the right one. But there's a way here when you can practically reach through the screen and connect, shake hands with, give a pat on the shoulder, give some bit of encouragement to the very person that you are just wishing, please call me because I know I can help you. Please call me. I see you. I know how you are suffering and I can help. Please call me. You know who that person is for you. If you don't, that's part of your work. But if you know who that person is and you know what they need and you feel their pain and you get them better than they get themselves, then online platforms are one of the best ways that you can reach out to that person and connect with them to encourage them before they ever call you. You can inspire them. You can give them hope. And y'all, you can inform. You can encourage, inspire, and inform. You can teach them without them ever calling you. You can give them all kinds of tools, tips, guidance, recommendations, just like I do with you here, right? That's exactly what I'm doing with you here on the podcast. So this does matter. And the message that you share with that person that you care about so much, that message is important. If you heard my interview with Michelle Knox, that's been a few weeks ago now, I will be sure and link to that in the show notes below. If you missed that, go back and listen to that one because one of the things that Michelle will talk to you about, oh my gosh, she's so good. She talks a lot about how important it is that your message, who you are, how you show up, what it is you have to say, how important it is that is consistent no matter what platform you're on or how you get yourself out there. That message is important. But here's the cool part. The modality for how you get that message out there can vary widely. So without getting too far off track, in the real life world, y'all, that's speaking, networking, teaching a class at your local church or synagogue, giving a talk at your local chamber. Like there's lots of ways in the real world to carry that consistent message, who you are, what you stand for, the knowledge you have you want to share. Like there's lots of ways to do that. But in the online world, you can do it with the written word. You can do it with audio. You can do it with video. I want to dive into each of these because I have done it all. I have tried it all and I've tried it all in depth and at length. So I want to walk you through my experience with each of these and give you a few tips and pointers and things to think about. Okay? So let's start with writing. If you love the ability to express yourself in writing is one of the things that's near and dear to you, then writing may very well appeal to you. And y'all, I am that person. I love to write. And I think I'm a pretty decent writer, honestly. So, of course, that's where I started. Way back when I first started my group practice, one of my colleagues in my group went to our local newspaper, but approached them about us having a regular column in the paper, sort of a mental health for the masses kind of column. We called it Everyday Wisdom. The paper said they thought that was a great idea, and that was my first introduction to the idea of publishing regular written content. That's where I started. From there, I went to newsletters, online digital newsletters, which I still do to this day. And from there, I went into starting a blog. And guys, like I talked in that story I was telling you about when I hurt my hand, I published a blog every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. for 7 frickin' years. A really, really long time. And there was a structure to it. I put a lot of thought into it. I did it in a certain way. I did that for 7 years. And to this day, I go back to and lean on some of that content, because what I wrote then, this is one of the things you'll learn. No matter what you do, you can repurpose it in 1,000 ways. There are many times on this podcast when I want to talk to you about a topic, and I'll go back and say, have I written about this before? And if so, what did I say? And is there anything there that I can use now? So I do that for sure. So I went from a news article to newsletters to a regular weekly blog. And then today, you'll see this. I post on social media every day. Now, for me, I tend to use Facebook and LinkedIn. I am not on Instagram. I know. Don't you roll your eyes at me. Don't you roll your eyes at me. Different strokes, right? And all that. But wherever you like to hang out, some kind of a daily post is one way that you can have a presence for your people, for sure. That's a short, easy way to get into this. Now, what I learned in those 7 years of blogging were lots of things. For one, your blog needs to be, if you decide to do this, so blogging was all the rage when I started it, right? It's what everybody did. Today, you don't hear as much about it, but it is still out there. It is still viable. It is still a perfectly fine way to connect with your clients. Because, like I said a minute ago, the people who love you, who connect with your message, they're going to read your stuff. They may ignore 99% of what comes through their inbox, but they're going to read your stuff when it's good. So what makes a good blog? Well, in my experience, a couple of things that I found was, first of all, it needs to be short, y'all. And when I say short, I don't mean social media short. I mean 500 to 700 words. I used a word count measure when I was writing. Much longer than that. I have done things that were longer, 800, 900, but you can easily lose people. The things that are going to make it more attractive to your ideal audience, first of all, it has to be easy to read. And I mean visibly. The font can't be too small. It needs to pop and be easy to read on the screen. Things like a lot of white space, not text heavy. So lots of white space in the way it shows up on the screen. Subheadings, bullet points, all of that's going to make it more readable. Ideally, y'all, your subheadings, this is one of the things I teach folks when I'm working with them about this, is as you scan, people will scan before they read. So as they scan something you have written, the subheadings that you might use need to almost be readable, like almost by themselves. Like they need to be able to scan from top to bottom of your blog and get a sense of where it's going to go just from the subheadings. And if they like what they see there, they'll dive in and read the details. Okay? So that's important. Your writing needs to be warm, engaging, human, not full of a bunch of industry-based jargon. Don't talk over their heads. Sound like a human being. Be real in there. Talk about your kids or your dog or the hike you did this weekend. And also be professional. Like they don't need to know that you partied a little too hardy on Saturday night, right? So you want to be warm and engaging and useful, but still professional. So, my pet peeves, watch for typos. Go back and read it out loud once you have it written, because when you hear it out loud, you'll catch the places where the text drags a little bit or the point gets lost. Your writing needs to be clear, sharp, useful, engaging, actionable, right? But mostly it needs to be easy to see. And then what makes blogging work is you need a list. You need a list of people to send it to, and that list needs to be growing. That is especially important for blogging or newsletters, because that's where you're going to send that stuff, right? Now, we've talked to other places how to get that list, how to build that list. Essentially, you need some kind of a free gift, some kind of a tool, a download that folks can get from your website that they get in exchange for their email address. And once you have that, you can add them to your list. So that's basically the gist there. So that's writing. I wrote for 7 years, And I felt like I could not stop because at the time, it was the most consistent marketing I was doing. And I was in a mastermind group. I still remember this, where one of the questions that I brought to my mastermind at one of our quarterly retreats was, I said, guys, can I stop blogging? Like, would it be a mistake for me to let this go? And for lots of different reasons that made sense at the time, they were like, absolutely, you can stop. And I will never forget feeling like I had been set free. For me personally, what was great about blogging is I could take my time and make it right. And did I mention I was a perfectionist? So I would spend hours on those blogs. That's not a good thing. Whatever you do should not be something that you spend hours on. So for me, although the end product was fine, and even today, I go back and read some of the blogs that I wrote back then, and even today, I'm like, dang, that was good. Because it was. It still is. And I remember I had a VIP coaching client one time that told me that she had been reading my blog for 2 years before she reached out to me about working together. So that's not a small thing, right? But for me personally, blogging was not the best choice for me because I am way too obsessive. And that was not the best use of my time. So I eventually made the decision to move on. But for you, it might be exactly the right thing to do. I don't know. So from there, where I went next was I decided to try video. Now, the reason I decided to do this is because, one, I was already beginning to hear, it was obvious that video was becoming one of the most popular ways that people like to consume information. This was during, YouTube was taking off, Reels and IG stories and all these sort of short form videos began to happen. And in my mastermind, I got a lot of pressure about speaking. I cannot tell you how many times people would sit in a group around me and basically just sort of like hound me about getting out there to speak. I've done a lot of public speaking over the years. I enjoy public speaking. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. There's nothing quite like connecting with an audience. It's just the best feeling in the world when you see people nodding their heads and leaning forward in their seats and you know that you're connecting with them and you're giving them something that they need. It's the best feeling ever. But I wasn't promoting myself so much as a speaker. At that point, some of that was a confidence issue because it felt weird to push myself on people, which you have to do when you're promoting yourself as a speaker. I was used to people just coming to me and saying, hey, we heard about you or we saw you or someone referred us to you and we'd love for you to come speak at our event. I was used to that and had tons of that over the years, but I wasn't really used to saying, hey, don't you love me and can I come speak to your audience? I really struggled with that for a while. So my compromise, what I decided to do was to try YouTube. I thought, well, you know what? Video is probably not that much different than speaking. I had already had some experience with video in making some of the courses that I was selling at the time. What the heck? Let's try video. Well, when I do something, guys, I do it all the way. So I did the thing. I took courses in how to publish on YouTube. I watched lots of influencers getting ideas about what worked, what didn't, etc. I bought the lights. I bought the mics. I set up my own little kind of recording setup in my office. I mapped out content like crazy. I hired somebody to edit the videos. I never did learn how to edit videos myself. I just couldn't quite get myself to go there. So I paid somebody to edit those videos, which in hindsight, it probably would have been better for me to have learned that myself. Not because she wasn't awesome, she was. But that was a significant outlay in cost. And in the long run, I think that was probably not the best use of resources for me. But I just didn't want to edit videos. Because if you can imagine how obsessive I am about writing, good Lord, you should see what I would have done with a video. So what I did was I got the equipment. I learned from people. I hired the people to help me with it. And then I committed to 1 year of weekly videos. I thought, I'm going to give this a year and we'll see how it works. The learning here is that I had already done that blog for a long time. And I did not want to get stuck doing something that may or may not be right for me. So I told my team and I told myself, girl, you got 52 weeks. Let's see what you can do with this. And I dove in. 52 weeks later, I had the videos and they were fine. But it doesn't take much to go and look at those, y'all. And you'll see, it's not like I had 1,000 people following me. It did not connect the way I thought it would. And sometimes, guys, I was making videos at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was making videos when I had a house full of guests and I had to come up here and record. I remember that. I can't remember. It was like during a major holiday and I think all my family were visiting. And I'm like, I got to go upstairs and make a video, y'all. I'll be back in a little while. So it wasn't easy to do, but I made myself a promise that I would give this a genuine try. And I did. I published weekly for a full year. Here's some of the things I learned from that. First of all, for a video to work, you really do need to have really good sound and you need to have really good lighting. There's lots of ways to learn about that out there. I'm not going to go into the details here because you can get that on your own. But lighting is everything, and so is sound. In fact, I would say sound is even more important. If the sound is bad, people will turn off. I mean, if the lighting is bad, but the sound is good, they can hear you, they'll still listen. But you really need both of those. It's also important to have sharp editing. You need to have what are called jump cut, slices in the video where it jumps quickly from 1 second to the next or one comment to the next. Graphic overlays help make it more visually appealing and easier to track. The transcripts that YouTube does automatically, those are adequate, but they often have errors in them. So I would go in and edit them. Of course I would, because I can't stand it when they're not right. One of the keys for a YouTube format is short time frame. Now today we've got TikTok and Reels, which are really short, right? 1 minute, 2 minutes. But even on YouTube, 7 or 8 minutes is fairly long. 11 to 15 minutes is very, very long. I struggled with that because, I like to talk, as you might can tell. So I did all that, but short time, sharp editing, quality sound, all of that's important. And you got to be comfortable on camera. Now you can learn to do that. I was fine with that part. That part wasn't hard. It was the setup. It was getting the background right, the lighting right, all that kind of stuff. The editing that went into every single episode. And just making it short and pithy, which is a great exercise in discipline and clarity for your messaging. But that has to be a format that works for you. 52 weeks into it, I decided I did not love it. And I let it go. I felt like I could walk away feeling pretty good about it. I gave it a good shot. This is not for me. And I didn't do anything for a while after that. I had courses going. I had clients. I've got plenty of things happening. So I did not do anything for a little while. But for you, so for me, video was not the right fit. But for you, it might be perfect. It's especially helpful, guys, if you like doing like the off-the-cuff stuff. If you can walk around your yard or you're out running your greenbelt or you're picking your kids up at school and you want to make a quick video in the car, that kind of stuff, that goes over really, really well. I did mess around with that a little bit, but I never did it consistently. If you can do that, man, people will love that. Okay, so definitely video could be right for you. That's what my experience has been with it. But for you, I totally encourage you to try it out if you're interested. And today, the short form stuff is especially helpful. Okay, so where did I go from there? Well, I told you I went for a while without doing anything. And in that window, in that open space, when I was trying to figure out what was next for me, a lot of my people, a lot of my friends, entrepreneurial buddies, my mastermind, people kept suggesting I should try podcasting. Now, guys, I have a little bit of a contrarian in me. So if everybody tells me I should do something, my gut reaction is to say, That's my inner 4-year-old. I'm thinking like, I don't want to. Just everybody else is doing that. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. Like, oh, good Lord, everybody's talking about podcasting. And I was like, yeah. So I resisted it for a very, very long time until I didn't. And some of the people that I follow whose podcasts I really, really love just got me to thinking about, well, maybe I should at least explore this. It wouldn't hurt to try. If nothing else, you don't have to get your makeup right. Well, what I decided to do was to, again, kind of like I did with YouTube, was to just try it. So I did the thing. And today, as I am recording this today, I've been podcasting now on a weekly basis for over 3 years. We're about 3.5 years at this point. I have taken a break here and there for a few weeks, but not much. Pretty consistently, we have come to you with new content every week since, for whatever, I'm losing track of time, over 3 years now. And what I learned when I started trying podcasting, the cool thing that I learned, lo and behold, shock of all shocks, I loved it. I loved it way more than I did video or writing. Like I said, I'm a good writer, but I was too obsessive. I'm a good speaker, but it did not translate on video. But podcasting, this has turned out to be one of the things I love more than anything else I've ever tried. For me personally, it has been a really good format. For one, I can't be a perfectionist here. It's just not possible because I am talking to you off the top of my head half the time. 2, the editing is considerably simpler. I was able to learn how to do it pretty quickly myself. I do now have someone who does that for me, but if they're not available, I can handle it pretty quick. It gives me the freedom to be who I really am without the sort of external structure or restriction that I felt like video and writing brought to the table. Now, for some of you, you're like, well, Wendy, you could use some of that restriction. Honestly, I'm checking out. But for those of you who stay with me all the way through, I'm guessing this works for you and it resonates for you too. I like hanging out with you for a longer period of time. That's important to me. I do this even in my counseling work, y'all. I've never been a fan of the short stuff. I like deep conversations. So podcasting has sort of done that for me. It's given me the opportunity to have what I feel like is a deeper conversation with you. And you know what? I mean, it's kind of funny to think about this now, Lord. But way, way back in my early 20s, when I first went to undergrad, I started off as a broadcasting major and then transitioned into journalism before I ended up in psych. And I always kind of liked the idea of being on radio or TV, right? So isn't that funny? So maybe this is like my teenage DJ coming out. I don't know. But this has just been a really good fit for me for lots of different reasons. And for those of you who stick with me, it looks like it is for you too. And I love that. And I'm grateful for that. I have learned a few things. Here's what makes podcasting work. By golly, the quality of the sound is everything. You do not have to have a $1,000 mic, but you do need a good one. And your AirPods, most of the time, are not going to be it. You can get by with that for a little while, but you really do need something better. And you don't like I have a Blue Yeti mic that I use for Zoom calls or groups or classes or workshops I've done. That is a perfectly fine, sit on the desk, pick up the sound mic. But for podcasting, getting a directional mic that picks up your voice and nothing around it is important. Setting up your studio so that you're not picking up a lot of external sound, that's important. Using a tool to level out the sound, like Alphonic, which I will link below, that's important. There's lots of stuff like that you need to know. Being able to publish on multiple players. Now, the places you think about are Apple and Spotify, but y'all, there's tons of podcast players out there, and I am on all of them. Okay? Learning how to use the online publishing tools, which ones to use and how, like all of that is part of this, and that does make a difference in your distribution channels and how people find you. So there is a tech aspect of this that you got to figure out and learn. What I found that was great was that I loved that. I actually didn't even mind the tech. It was fun. It still is fun. I still genuinely enjoy that. The other thing that makes podcasting work, of course, like anything you do online, is it's got to be useful and engaging content. People want to know you as a human being. They want to learn something from you, be touched by you, inspired by you, or like me, like hopefully kind of be poked by you a little bit to make them think. And like in all online or any marketing efforts, consistent publication is important. It doesn't have to be weekly, but whatever it does need to be regular, whether it's every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, whatever. Now, some folks are doing the season idea where they will publish like 10 or 12 episodes, and that's season 1, season 2, season 3. I have had people recommend that for me. I've not really wanted to go there yet, so you have to tell me, what do you think? Do you like that format, or do you like it better if we just kind of keep coming? Like I've learned lots of things about this, having done it for 3 years now, which I'll share with you here as I walk through. Finally, for you, I want to just share a couple of cautionary notes about all of this. First of all, remember what I said at the beginning. The reason this is important is because it gives you a way to connect with, encourage, inspire, and inform your ideal clients so that they already learn what you have to offer. They already get a sense of you as a human being, and they begin to like you and connect with you long before they call you. So this is really important. It's also a way that you get to say what you think without being filtered or edited by other people. It really is one of the best ways for you to show up as your authentic self in the world. Your authentic self in the world. Like, marketing isn't about sleazy selling, y'all. It's about sharing from your heart what you know and care about for those you know and care about. Okay? But here are a couple of things you need to know when you make a commitment to diving into this online platform world. First of all of these take an investment of time, money, resources. There is no easy one. I don't care which one you do. To do it right and do it well in the ways I've laid out for you today, all of them require an investment of your time and money. More on the front end, less as you get it running, but still, all of them take time. All of them have a learning curve. I don't care which one you do or how you do it. All of them take a little bit. You have to learn the tech. You have to learn the strategy. You have to learn stuff. So all of them have a learning curve. As you are thinking about where you want to go and how you want to show up, do you want to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, some other tool out there I'm not even thinking about right now? First of all, think about where your clients hang out. If you're mostly working with 20-somethings, they may be on Instagram or TikTok. If you're working with women leaders, corporate leaders like I do, LinkedIn might be more the place you want to focus, right? So think about where your clients hang out first. But even more than that, what I want you to do is pay attention to how you like to take in information. Because what works for you is probably going to work for your clients. If it works for you, you're going to enjoy it more. That's what audio has done for me. Okay? So how do you like to watch videos? And if so, are you interested in the longer discussion-oriented types, like a panel discussion or, an hour-long video with the people you most like? Or do you watch a lot of short form? Do you like to read? What works for you? Pay attention to that. And then think about how you most feel comfortable expressing yourself. Do you like to write? Do you like to draw? Do you like to create video? Are you a creative content person? What's fun for you? Because what's fun for you, that's important, because if this isn't fun, you're not going to stick with it. Writing was satisfying for me, but it wasn't fun. Video was okay, but it wasn't fun. Podcasting is fun for me. What's fun for you? Pay attention to all of that and give yourself permission to experiment, just like I have. Try. Pick something and try it. All I would say is stick with it long enough to have a real sense of it. Like, don't do this for a little while and quit. There's a word called pod fade, where people start off with gusto and then they just sort of quit publishing after a while. In fact, I recently put together, with my team, we put together a list of podcasts that I'm interested in reaching out to as a possible guest for myself, because I want to start getting out there a little bit more myself. And we already have run into several of them that sounded good when I found them online. Well, they're not publishing anymore. They have disappeared into the ether. So don't do that. Stick with something for a while. And by a while, set a certain number of episodes or a certain number of articles or a certain amount of time or a certain number of videos. Give yourself some kind of a milestone that will tell you you have given it your best shot before you decide otherwise. So do that. I think in podcasting, they will talk about make sure you publish at least 10 episodes. That was never going to be enough. I knew I would do more than that. But it turned out not to matter because once I got into it, I wanted to keep going. The point is, not all of these are going to be right for you. The point is, it's important that you find the platform that is a good fit for your creative style, for your energy, for what makes you happy, and then use that platform and do what you need to do to learn how so that you can connect with those people that you care about so much. I think back to those times when my mastermind was pushing me so much about speaking. Podcasting has been the thing I have found that just comes so easy. Speaking also comes easy, but it's better if people ask me. But podcasting is just lovely. And it has worked. It's working so well, actually, that at the time that I am recording this, just in the last few weeks, I have been invited to be on one of the largest podcasting shows in the country in my industry. And that tells me I'm doing something right. That is beautiful. I'll share more about that later, but that's coming. And something out here is going to work for you. So I promised you that I would tell you at the end today about the course that I took that made such a difference for me. I did take a course. I am not an affiliate for this. I don't get anything for telling you this. But the course that I took is called Powered Up Podcasting by Pat Flynn. If you are familiar with the digital space, you'll know Pat Flynn. He runs Smart Passive Income, which has turned into, he's got quite an empire now. I love Pat. He's a great guy. I have been in his community and I've learned so much from him. I did do his Powered Up Podcasting course, which is kind of his introduction to podcasting. And I didn't just buy it, y'all. I did it. I did every single episode. I did every single lesson. I implemented what I learned in that course step by step. And golly, he taught me things I would never have even thought of learning. So that was extremely helpful. And I don't know what he's pricing it out nowadays, but whatever it was worth paying for. And if you're thinking about diving into podcasting, like I can give you some tips I'm happy to share with you. But privately, you're welcome to reach out to me by email or a DM, and I'm happy to share whatever I can. But Pat can teach you the ins and outs of how to publish a podcast, and he's really good. It's extremely practical and useful, and I did what he said, and you see where we are now. All right, so I just wanted to mention that to you. If you want to email me, you can always reach me at wendy@wendypittsreeves.com. I am on Facebook and LinkedIn, but it's better if you just email me. And don't forget what I told you about the scorecard. Go get that at wendypittsreeves.com/360. If that's helpful for you, I do offer some brief coaching where we can kind of get in there and work on a few things. So always reach out to me about that if I can help you. And with that, I hope this has given you at least sort of an overview of how to think about writing versus video versus audio, and giving you some guidance that will help you begin to sort of winnow down a little bit what's going to make the most sense for you. And whatever it is, y'all, you're going to be afraid to do it. Do it anyway, because you will learn. And eventually you're going to find out that you're even better at it than you thought you would be. Yeah, that's my wish for you. Have a great week, everybody, and I will see you next time right here on the Ideal Practice Podcast. Bye now. Hey, y'all. If this program has become important to you, if Ideal Practice matters, it would mean so much to me if you'd be willing to take just a minute to do one or two of the following things. First of all, would you follow or subscribe to the show here at Ideal Practice? Following me helps you because you'll never miss an episode, but it helps me as well for all kinds of reasons. To do that, all you have to do is go to the show page for Ideal Practice on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. There, just click on the plus sign that you'll usually find in the top right-hand corner, or click on the word follow that you're going to find somewhere there on that page. Of all the things, this really is the most important thing you can do for the podcast itself. While you're there, it would be extra special if you would be willing to give me a 5-star rating, and even better than that, a review with your own words. Your words matter. And when you write what you feel, what you think, you uplift and encourage others. And I love that. If you want to go a step further than that, take your favorite episode or two, one of the ones that has meant a lot to you, and share it with a friend. Could you do one or two of those things for me? I promise I will love you forever. You guys matter to me, and I value your support more than I can possibly say. Thank you, sweet friend, for anything you can do to help me out and support the show. I'll see you again soon.